I've sold over $115 million in sales online, and Eric sold his former brick and mortar company for over $115 million. So he sought me out for some business advice on his new ventures online. Here's a quick backstory on him.
Lived a crazy life, got addicted to drugs, raised up in an environment of crime, 7 years battling addiction. From there, turned my passion for helping other addicts into a business, started my home state of New Hampshire's very first sober living house, which I then scaled to a business that was the largest provider of addiction treatment services in New England. We did $55 million of top line revenue a year, earnings over $1 million a month for a long time, until I sold it to a private equity company back in 2021 for $115 million exit. And in the meantime, I've been really interested in studying the online digital product space. And so I've built several offers around real estate here to ask questions and learn. Yeah.
How you doing?
Good, man. How about yourself?
Eric is already a very accomplished guy, but moving into the online space, just like any business, is just a little bit different. So for me to first help him, I need full context of the entire situation so I could give him a game plan to execute. Just start at the top. So if you want to give me numbers, if it's at 0.
Let me break down. I have 3 offers. One is $2,000 course, how to invest into Section 8, business coaching and mastermind community called Inner Circle.
Yep.
$7,500 for 90 days or 20 grand for the year. The third, and the Section 8 is we actually put people in real estate. Mm-hmm. How to start a sober house. From a business standpoint, it's very similar to Airbnb arbitrage. Okay. You can rent the real estate. You put multiple beds in each bedroom. You have some rules and structure to how the house is run. You have to stay sober. They have a curfew. Sure. And then you rent the beds, not the bedrooms. You rent each individual bed to people in early recovery from addiction or alcoholism.
Got it.
Here's the offer. Startup cost of $10,000. We can teach you in 30 days or less how to start a sober house that will cash flow $5,000 a month, semi-passive income.
These are your 3 offers. What's your initial question?
What's working? Ad strategy, ROAS, middle of the funnel.
And do you want it for all these offers?
Section 8 and the sober house are priority.
It's just a very low price offer. Like, how do you sell it? Do they buy it automatically?
Evergreen webinar.
Evergreen webinar. So, I mean, it's just tough. Like, so if you're running ads to it, right?
Yeah.
So it's just tough. Like, so for example, Sam Ovens, he had a $2,000 consulting course, and then I think he would get a buyer for like every $600. But I mean, he's really, 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 really good, right? He has school with Hermosi now. The hard thing with this type of offer is because it's so cheap that you can't really afford to get on the phone. So what you have to do is make a really good webinar. The easy way to understand ads is, so if this is, let's say this is Facebook and you're running ads. So, as you're spending a little bit, it's like one little dot. So it might just be here, but then you spend more and it starts like spreading out, right? So as it spreads out, the people are less ideal to buy your offer. From my experience, because I've spent tons, millions on ads, is that a lot of people will come in and say, oh, we'll do a different strategy and this and that. The big thing is making sure, yes, you have the right strategy, but then also understanding at scale, it just gets naturally harder because it gets wider and wider and wider. So eventually, if you're spending enough money, it's like, some guy in China who likes Pokemon who's seeing your ad. Like, he's just not who you meant to target, but he just does because it's native.
Diminishing return.
Yeah, it's not like YouTube where it's search, it's native. So it's just, they just are on IG or Instagram. And if you're giving it enough spend, it's forcing the spend. So it's just going to show it to whoever they think is going to do it. What I'm trying to say here is we can go through the strategy, but the big thing I think you should keep in mind is either A, you're going to have a lower budget and you would shoot for something like this, like $600 to $1,000. You make a little bit of profit, but as you scale, it's going to break. So you'd have to just keep it low. You'd have to be okay with that. Option number 2 is you would just spend until you broke even and then you upsell as many people as you can. That's usually what the big guys do, is when they run low price stuff or lower price, they're just breaking even or even losing 50%, and then they just upsell a shit ton on the back end. Because regardless of what ad strategy you do, you gotta keep in mind, most media buyers, when they come in the business, they're just clicking different targeting and different bid options. It's not as complex as they may try to make it sound. The big thing is going to be the strategy. So like, for example, when I say the strategy, here's how I would think about it is if you're running an ad, right? So probably they opt in and then they watch your webinar and then, there's like a purchase page. The big thing to make sure it's working is all the stuff in between. So meaning after they opt in, you can email, you can text, you can have dialers, so like a setter. So like a setter's calling every single lead trying to get them to buy. or on the phone. You can do retargeting ads. The first thing I make sure I'm doing is like, we're emailing, okay? So it'd be like, do you have an email campaign set up? Check. If you don't, you need to set it up. Okay, so meaning they're getting emails pushing them back to watch the webinar, right? So that's step one. Step two is then text. Do you have text pushing them back to the webinar? If you do, good. If you don't, you need to set that up. Step three is then, like you said, all your sales guys are calling, and they're either calling them to show up or they're calling and selling the $2,000 package right on the phone. One of the two, right? Either or works. It's just like, that's what you have to do. After that, you'd have retargeting ads, right? So you could have retargeting ads pushing back to the sales page. The big thing that's really made me a lot of money, it's not necessarily having like this perfect, it's having a really insane follow-up system. So what I'm saying to you is on this.
That's really what I'm interested in. That's what I meant by middle of the funnel.
The follow-up system.
Yeah.
It became very obvious fairly quickly that Eric had some holes in his follow-up system. So I started going over the different follow-up strategies on how he could tighten things up, as well as paid traffic, because that was new for him.
I'll walk you through my funnel to compare so you can see it. So what we do typically is we'll do add to a DM like this. And then we have it set up where this DM will fire a link to an opt-in page. And I'll just write it all out.
And that makes a mess out of your DMs?
Yeah, they can see everything basically. So what happens is this. They click the ad and they go in the DM. So step one is my team will start messaging every single lead individually. Like I've on staff right now, I got 12 to 15 people. Next is inside that DM, it'll fire a link. So if you ever click one of my ads, sometimes it'll pop open and it'll be like a link to the opt-in page. So then once they come here, they opt in, we start texting them and emailing them, right? Then what happens is they can from here watch the VSL and then book a call. Or if we have a conversation, they can book a call from here because the setter is doing that. Plus, as soon as they opt in, we're calling them. So right out of the gate, within like immediately, they're getting texts, emails, calls, DMs, and we're pushing to a sales call. Now, the reason this works though, part of it is because this program here is $16K. So we can afford to hire all that staff and spend all that money to get a $16K deal. The bottleneck you might run into here is if you set all that up, well, it's like, it's not worth it because you're only spending $2,000. Right? So it's like, well, fuck, I have to hire all these people to get a $2,000 purchase. In a perfect world, what I would recommend for you is either A, make a little bit of money here, but you're going to have to keep your ad spend lower. Why? Because the bigger you get in ad spend, the broader it goes, and that's where your costs will start to go down, or your revenue. And then, you go to ad agencies and they're like, yeah, like, we can do this and we can do that. But like, I've just worked with a lot of people. Like, end of the day, there's only so much a media buyer can do. All they're choosing is the targeting and the creative. So yes, it makes a difference. It's more the offer than anything.
What's the 16K product?
For us, it's a 4-month like business consulting mastermind. We'll break down their offer, their leads, their sales, their fulfillment, like A to Z on exactly what it is they need to be doing. If I was trying to do what you're doing, like what we're doing next month, is we're going to be retargeting and running ads to a $97 recurring subscription. So the goal is if they click on the ad and buy, if we made $0, I'd be happy with that because I could just spend as much money as possible. And then the goal is once they're in here, we start texting them, right? Calling them, emailing them, etc., to push them to a call and then hopefully pay more money on our upsell program. So what I'm trying to get at with you is my personal opinion is if someone's telling you, hey, fix your ads, fix your webinar, you're going to make a ton of money. It's very
all a
rare.
back-end game.
It's very rare. It's very rare. It's either like a super broad offer, like even more broad than this. It's like how to make $800 a month clipping coupons, like super broad, or that person almost always has a lot of organic traffic. So for example, like if someone has 500,000 YouTube subs, they're going to make it work better because they're getting free sales, right? But if you're just running 100% paid traffic, the numbers come into play more. Does that make sense?
Yep.
So let's say the number's 30 grand of ad spend, okay? And you spend just enough to make whatever your target profit is, right? And you're like, hey, like I'm just gonna, we're gonna get it to here and then we're just gonna let it run. That would be option number one. That's the easiest. Option two is you spend as much as you have to break even and then you upsell on the back end. Now keep in mind when you're upselling, what would happen is instead of you're doing all this, well, you still be doing this on the front end automatically, automated text, automated email. Mm-hmm. But then the difference is once they buy, you would start this process all over again, pushing to a sales call where you'd upsell something higher priced. For example, let's say like you're sending 3 emails and you're sending 3 texts, and you have your guys call, but they'll call whenever. What I could do, for example, is like, okay, let's send 7 emails, 7 texts. Let's have our guys call 5 minutes or less when they opt in. So you might hire like more setters so they call faster, and let's retarget them for a month, right? So, and then you would test it. And then if you're not making any more money, it's like, all right, like once we go past this amount, it's not working, right? There's no formula, but for me, it's like more is always gonna be better than less, because if they're not gonna buy at 3 and they don't buy at 7, I didn't really lose anything, but I gained data. When we started dialing people, I had my sales guys call up to 10 times in a couple days. And then what we did is once we called past like 4 times, we actually were basically putting all the data in a spreadsheet. So we saw after 4 dials, we didn't get really any more pickups. All of our sets were 4 dials or less. So I said, okay, instead of having my guys call 10 times, we're only going to call 4, and then we optimized it, right? So then I cut a little bit of staff. My guys kept calling, and it was super efficient. So there's going to be a lot of people who give you suggestions, but end of the day, you're going to test it. And I've seen different stuff work with other offers that don't work with other ones. The goal, right, again, just so we're clear, is either, be happy, I'll just put like a happy face with a number, or 2, break even, right? And then you just upsell. And usually what I do, if you're trying to get, the goal is this. If you're like, I want to make money and less stress, you probably want to go with number 1. If you're like, I don't care about the stress and I just want to make as much as fucking possible, you probably want to go with number 2, right? If you don't have an upsell, then you obviously have to go with number 1. So like in the past, Sam Ovens, he's probably the most famous for running one. He would sell a $2,000 course and he'd get a $600 buyer. And that was his entire objective. And he's like, yeah, I don't want to fucking coach people. Later on, he upsold all those people to like a $40,000 a year mastermind. But that was later on. It's like I'm good friends with Alex, and Alex will always say either sell to a lot of stuff to poor people. Yeah. So it's like either sell a lot of stuff to poor people or sell to the super rich people. So what you're kind of doing, if you think about it, is you're kind of in the middle right now. Like it's not super cheap, but it's not super expensive.
One of the issues he was running into is he was trying to make profit from his automated webinar, which is very difficult to do on cold traffic. However, if you have upsells behind it that you pitch to your buyers, you can make a lot of money and fast. We went over that next, plus some different ways of acquiring customers and ascending them so he could decide what was the best fit for him.
The first thing is we have the ads running straight to a call for the super high ticket. So the 16K, 40K, stuff like that. The second one is that we're running to this $97 community. And why? Because here's why I like this better than this, just in a general business sense, is to get someone to buy a $97 like subscription or even a one-off offer. It's super easy. Like you don't have to
That's reoccurring?
Yeah. So this one's reoccurring. So it's going to be like, we're going to call it Elite University, which is basically what's happening in the marketplace right now that I'm seeing specifically for business consulting is there's just not a lot of trust. And so we're like, okay, how can we build more trust? It's like, let's run them here. So what we're going to do is we're going to run them here. We'll also have like the retargeting and stuff pushing here. And then the goal is this creates a pool of buyers that we're then going to push to a call who are going to buy our higher priced programs, right? And so that could also be your other strategies. If like, hey, I want something low ticket, I'm happy to break even. Like if we spent $100,000 and we made $100,000 and we made no profit, all the people.
But you have that many people in your ecosystem.
Yeah, exactly. So usually what you'll see at scale is not going to be this. It's going to be usually the company is selling something lower price and then they ascend them. And once they buy, all this stuff here is pushing them to calls. That's usually what you're going to see.
But they've already swiped a credit card. And so
right, and they're better. Buyers are always better leads too, right? They're way more likely to buy more stuff. So
we've already crossed the line of trust.
Right, and the reason we're doing a community is because they need more time in our ecosystem. So we're like, look, instead of doing a one-off thing, like let's get them in the ecosystem and let's really give them a good experience, and then we build recurring revenue.
So what are you doing in that? Like, what's the product?
Yeah, so for us, what we're doing is this. So you got to remember, I have all this infrastructure already built out. So what we're going to do, we already have our clients here. Okay, so we're going to put our clients in there. Okay. Then we have our clients here. And then right here, we have the $97 buyers, right? And then we're going to merge them into this community. So what's going to basically happen is these $97 buyers will see us answering questions to our clients, and they can come to all the group calls, but they can't participate in like the coaching, if that makes sense. So we're going to have different topics. Like I'll do probably 4 calls a month, which is pretty excessive, but we want to have a lot of stick, which usually it's the guru, right? The guru is going to make it stick. And then we'll also do like sales trainings or ads trainings or mindset or stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? So they're going to have course access to different things. So like our ads training and our sales training, all this stuff we've already built over time. Plus they're going to get it engaged in the community, ask questions, get on live calls, different topics, etc. That's really what we're going to be doing.
What platform will that live on?
This is going to be in R. So we have, you heard of Go High Level, right? Go High Level, it's our white label software, elite360.io. So all that means is Go High Level has a function where it's like a protein powder, right? So it's like, I make a vanilla protein powder. You're like, hey, Tanner, I want to sell yours.
White
it's
label.
It's just white label. So
can you walk me through the $97 funnel the user experience there?
Yeah, for sure. Okay. So what we're going to be doing is this. We're launching this in like 8 days, right? So what we're going to do is a few things. So the first is like, we'll have cold ads running to a $97 sales page. So usually when you're selling super low price stuff, you want to get as many people to see the sales page as possible, right?
So it goes straight to the sales page.
Straight to the sales page, usually.
Does that have a VSL on it?
Yeah, there'll be like a small video, right? Yeah, so like a VSL, like a small video, correct. Yeah.
Like how do the ad...
They click the ad and then the first thing they see will be this sales page. The big difference with low ticket is usually up here, you're running them to an opt-in page to get their information first.
Yeah.
With lower ticket, usually you run straight to the sales page.
No friction.
No friction. Yeah, because you're just trying to get like, because you don't really care about getting leads, you want buyers. Like so you want as many buyers as possible. So once they come in here, they come inside the community. Okay? So we'll just do this. Now, once they're inside the community, so what we have is like a pathway. So let's say you came in and it's like, cool, do you currently have a business? Yes. Okay. Are you making more than 10 grand? No. It's like, okay, start here. Then this one would be like, are you making more, do you have a business? No. What type of business do you want to start? This one. It's like, cool, start here. This one, if you bought Go High Level, this wouldn't be built out to start. If you were to buy our white label software, because we're building this for our clients, like the community feature would be built out and you could start like using it essentially. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So this is what we've built inside Go High Level, but it's our white label. So just keep in mind, Go High Level has this functionality, but
you've just already engineered it.
Everything I'm explaining to you now, we've built out. Mm-hmm. Does that make sense? Yep. Okay. So once they come through here, there's going to be a few ways we can hit them, right?
So they put their information in, they hit buy.
Yep.
They hit the confirmation page. They get an email that says download this and here's your login.
Etc. Yep.
Come into the community. They download the app that's Elite 360 is what they're downloading from the Apple App Store. And then they're logging in using their login. Yep. When they get their login, they're prompted with questions.
Yeah, so like it'll be
and those questions determine what pathway they're taking.
All I mean by pathway is the goal for us is we want stick. So to keep them to stick, instead of just like, here's a bunch of shit, it's like, okay, based on where you're at, here's where you should go. It takes a lot more time, but it's worth it. Once they're in here, there's going to be a few things we're going to do. So like the first thing is obviously they're involved in the community, right? So they're going to build trust. They're going to see me. That's going to happen. Number two is since they're a buyer, we're going to start emailing them to book a call to sell our higher level program. So it's like, hey, like you're in the community, but if you want to take your business to the next level, right? Number three is we can text them, okay? Number four is then we can message everyone. So what's cool about this as well is we can message 100% of the people and they'll all see it and we don't get any block features. Because like on Facebook or IG, sometimes the issue my team runs into is if we message too many people, it blocks us. The goal is then from here, we push them to a call, right? And then they spend more money. So the only reason we're doing this, just to be super transparent with you, is like 2 years ago when COVID was happening, we'd run an ad to a DM, to the opt-in, to a call, and then they would buy, right? And that was costing us like $3,000 to $4,000 like a pop. Now it's costing us like, sometimes it'll be as high as like $7,000 for a 16K product. So it's like, it's double what it used to be. So the benefit of this here is in the grand scheme of things, the benefit is it's either two things. It's either, hey, I'm Eric and I don't want to fucking deal with any teams or any bullshit or whatever. And I just want to sell this community and then I'll message people myself. Like it could be really profitable, but it's going to be a smaller business, right? If I was doing this here and I just wanted to focus on one thing or what's going to make the most, probably what I would do is this one, I would run high ticket ads. This one, I would just leave alone or stop doing. This one is the closest to mine, right? You're like business coaching them, inner circle. This would be the type of offer my team is running right now, straight to a call. And it makes sense because for someone to pay this amount, they're going to have to take a phone call probably. The other model is like, it's not even really a different model, but you'll see a lot of people right now, they're just running communities, meaning they don't even have a back-end product. They're just like, yeah, like here's my community. I have, 2 million subs on YouTube. There's a guy like right now, what's his name? Hamza. And he's probably making $250,000 a month from like a $97 a month group on School, right? School's just another community. So you don't have to like go too deep. It's like this community piece here. That's just like what Hermosi bought with Sam Evans. I mean, you've already built a really successful business. I think the first thing is like having some focus. Which of these makes you the most money right now?
They're neck and neck.
Neck and neck.
They both make money.
So let's say you're 50% here and 50% here, and I was able to do 100% into this or this, which would make me more? I think that's a question you should ask. You don't have to do that, but usually when I've tried to run multiple businesses at the same time, unless like I'm 100% out of management, right? Like, so I have like some portfolio companies, but like I'm an owner, I just tell them strategy, that's it. I don't fucking deal with any of the day-to-day. That's different. But if you're doing day-to-day and this and that, the first thing I would think about is, okay, if I cut this out and do 100% this, or I cut this out and do 100% that, which would do better? I think that's worthwhile question. The thing with digital marketing that you gotta be really careful of is like, you'll optimize until fucking oblivion, right? And so something that I've learned is in internet marketing, people will always talk about the marketing and they don't talk a lot about the product. And really at the end of the day, what I've seen is that product beats everything. There's only so good these products can be, meaning that I would not try to like build this business to where you just stress till oblivion. Like if you want to hire Jason one time for this and you want to optimize that, cool. My company, Elite CEOs, I've had 6 years. I'm not trying to really scale it anymore. I'm like, I want to move into other things with bigger opportunities because I feel like I've hit the max for what I can do here. Like there's only so much ad spend you can spend and all this other shit, right? In terms of what I think has the most scalability, I would say 1, 2, and 3. And in CS, it's based off audience size. Because look, this here, if you were doing...
in the Sober House offer, you don't even need to buy the real estate.
Exactly. So like when I run ads for coaching, guess what I'm doing? Do you want to start a business? Even that, do you want to start a business is way less people than someone like, do you want to make a little extra side hustle?
Yep.
Right now, technically this is a business too, but like I help online businesses. So even that knocks down some of the people I can work with. This, it's like, hey, here's a business opportunity. In terms of this one, I don't think has too much more potential because if you're going to get more clients for that, you have to run more ads. And if
I don't know that ads are the thing. Like, I don't know that ads are the thing on that. That's really more organic, which is
it's not.
Always sold it.
It's not. And that's what I was pointing out is like,
I think that that's more of an affiliate deal. Okay. Like I think I'd be better off if I went to my existing community because business owners hang out with business owners and went, hey, we want to grow this. If you sell 7,500, I'll give you 1,500
Yeah,
bucks.
because the issue I'll run into with this is, let's say if you work with beginners, right? If you work with beginners, you can run ads, but because you're like, I only want to work with people who already have XYZ criteria, that automatically alienates the market. So like in my program, we have what we call ELA, which is like beginners. Then we have like the mastermind, which is like around 10K a month. And then we start going up from there, but it's like an ascension ladder, right? With you, you're just starting all the way at the end. Like you're like, hey, you need to have this much. So I agree. I wouldn't do anything with this that's not organic. Okay. Or you'd have to open it up to beginners, which I don't think is the right move for you. So number 3 would be the Sober House. And then this one, I think, has the highest upside because you're just like, you don't even have to tell them what the opportunity is. You'd be like, hey, how would you like to make at least $5,000 a month within 60 days without owning any property or like having a business or whatever? I don't know, however you want to sell it. And this you could really scale and it's a high ticket price, right? So I really like this one. That's the shortest path of resistance for all 3. Now, if you're like, hey, I want to have upsells and all this other stuff, you could start trying to sell low ticket, but that's like a whole new process. Like I think like if there's like a gun to my head and you had to make money in the next 30 days, what I would tell you is number 1, fix middle of funnel, optimize the webinar, and then pick one of those 2 options. Either be okay with what you're making or break even. Number 2, I wouldn't do anything. Number 3 is like you just need to start selling it and push to a call. That's the least path of resistance.
Sell the Sober House thing and push it to a call. Book it to a call at 2997.
No. If you're selling this and they're buying straight from a call, I would sell at minimum $5,000, probably closer to 10, right? Because you have to be able to pay your team. I don't know if that's helpful.
Super helpful.
Do you have other questions, though? Is there like anything we didn't cover or anything you would like to cover?
Do you think the low ticket community is something I should move on?
It just depends only if you're going to sell super high price stuff. So for example, if all you want to sell is this, no. Like if all you want to sell is that, but if you're like, hey, I want to have a 10K and a 50K or 15K, excuse me, and like a 25 and a 40, yes, because that makes sense because it's all that extra work. Or if you just want to have a community that's like recurring revenue and you're not going to spend a lot on
Do I
ads.
do it niche? Do I do Eric Spofford's fucking community? Do I do real estate, Spofford Real Estate University?
Yeah, I mean,
Spofford entrepreneurship.
Yeah, I mean, if your expertise is in real estate, I would do it around specifically what it is you would want to upsell. So for us, like we call ours Elite University, which is basically a business consulting. Like it's like, hey, how to build an online business. And then we have all the structure based off that. But ultimately it's like, we're trying to get them to buy our higher price coaching. Does that make sense?
Yep.
If this doesn't work, what I would do, like if this was me, I wouldn't even try to do the webinar because like, I'm like, I don't know if it's going to work or not. I would just sell it for like 5 or 10 grand and push straight to a phone call. Right. And then this is like my phone. That does not look like a phone, but you get the point. So like,
Yeah.
I would just push it straight to a call and sell it at a higher price. Because anytime you sell over the phone, the marketing can be worse. What you're doing is harder because it's like you're trying to get them to buy without a phone call. That's always harder unless it's super cheap. So you're kind of in that middle ground where it's like it's too expensive. It's too expensive to just buy on a whim, but it's not expensive enough to get on a call. So you're kind of in that middle ground. I either like to be super fucking high price or super, super low price.
Yep.
Do you have any other questions?
No, man.
Okay.
Super helpful.
There was a lot of ground covered in my conversation with Eric, but he really just needed to see all the different options and scenarios that he could pick from. Once you know all the options available to you, it's much easier to pick which path to go down.
Right. There was a lot of walking in here, a lot of ambiguity because there's so many, when you think about these offers and how you structure them, there's so many options of directions in which you can go. Being able to tap into Tanner's like experience of, however long he's been doing this and getting the clarity on all the stuff that we're doing and his feedback and just super dialed. Like I know what we're doing next.
If you want to see another business case study just like this, click here.